Oh, so you went, so you got all the shopping bugs out of you on
Yeah, exactly.
this weekend?
It was fun.
Yeah.
We were at IKEA last night.
Oh, see, I was there on Sunday.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a walkthrough. We were hoping to buy something and what they had wasn't suitable. We're looking for a large umbrella for our patio. A large umbrella for our patio.
Oh, okay.
And they had one, but it sets up totally wrong, so we had to leave it. We found one at Home Depot, actually. That'll work. I have to still go in and buy it.
I finally went to Costco with Lori,
Okay.
and I actually like shopping there now with the whole waiting thing, because there's not as many people in the store.
True.
Yeah, that's what my mother said too. She says, I prefer this far more than what it used to be.
Like I don't do a lot of people like that. Like when
How long was your lineup?
it's so full,
How long did you have to wait?
I don't know, 20 minutes.
We were
It
10
was a nice
minutes.
day. It was okay.
At Costco? Or?
Yeah, 10 minutes. IKEA was just walking.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have to start doing stuff with her, because like at the end of the month we celebrate 28 or 29 years of marriage. So
Way to go.
I think it's 28.
Yes, but start spending time together.
Yeah.
You're a young guy.
If I
Mine's
want
38 next
an
month.
anniversary present.
That's touching her all.
Oops.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to thank you, Council, for attending today. I'd like to give the opening to Councillor Siemens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we've all complained at one time or another about all the issues around the COVID-19 pandemic that we are in the middle of. Most of the items we complain about are out of our control, and we do whine a bit about the different rules that are in place. While we don't know what the new normal will look like, here are a few things that I've learned from my point of view during this pandemic. A couple of things I relearned that my mother taught me and was reinforced in grade 1. Yes, when I was in prior and kindergarten age, there was no kindergarten available for me to go to, so hence my lack of education potentially. Anyways, mother taught me how to wash my hands. We learned how to count to 10. Mother taught us how to stand in line when I was in grade 1, patiently. How to wait my turn, again, patiently. And to visualize how far 6 feet is, because we didn't have the metric system in those days. My mother also told me that I needed to brush my teeth even if I wasn't going to go anywhere that day. And I'm still not allowed to wear my pajamas all day. We just moved to a new home in Steinbeck, and we're getting to know our neighbors. And from a distance, the social distancing, it's very interesting. Many are retired and their lives haven't changed a whole lot as a result. But visiting from a distance with our neighbors is interesting, as their hearing isn't what it used to be. Like many of you, I attend online church with coffee and breakfast while in my pajamas. I've got to know Audrey a little bit better because I've been at home during the day sometimes, and my grandkids are there at times, and we've got to spend a whole lot more time together, and most of the time it's fairly positive. Money has been saved on haircuts, dining out, and there's been no out-of-province travel to visit Britta in Alberta. So now we attempted our own haircuts faithfully. We made and ate our own meals at home, which has also been very good, and different forms of different online forums took over as we visited family in other provinces. One of the funniest Mennonite jokes I've heard was on social distancing. Apparently, Mennonites had no trouble understanding what it meant, as they've been practicing it since the 1500s, only they called it shunning. Learned how to spell the word quarantine. Struggled on not to shake hands or give hugs, and I don't necessarily like to smash elbows or whatever the common is, but it is hard for me to stay away. I learned how to enjoy the smell of hand sanitizer. By the way, it does contain a minimum of 70% alcohol. And I have been forced to slow down on my busyness as schedules are suddenly opened, and I've likely watched too much Netflix. Through the last 12 weeks, it has been interesting to watch how the world around us has changed. We haven't been able to travel, need to stay away from people. I can't do cold sales calls for work, and different places that I do attend ask me to wear a mask, or they ask me the same questions at different venues. The COVID-19 virus has inconvenienced me a lot more than it's affected me in any other way. Well, maybe emotionally it's affected me as well. When I sit back and think about how it has affected my world, my country Canada, my province of Manitoba, and our community of Steinbeck, I do feel very blessed and appreciative of where my family gets to live, work, worship, and ride our bikes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Siemens. Okay, Council, we have the agenda in front of us. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments? No. Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We have the minutes of May 19, 2020, the regular council meeting. They start on page 1. We've all had a chance to review. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments? No. Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to number 6. This is the public hearing. It's Variance V-2020-11, re 178 PTH 12 North. Starts on page 4 of your agenda. At this time, we will close the council meeting, open the public hearing. Mr. Warkentine, as the applicant comes in, would you please open or would you please talk about this file to us?
Sure, Mr. Mayor and members of council, this is an application for variance file V-2020-11 for property with civic address of 178 PTH 12 North. Owner of the property is 532-6151 Manitoba Ltd, trading as Clear Spring Center, and the applicant for the variance is Elliot Katz. Purpose of the variance is to allow a drive-through to locate within the front yard setback of a property with a C4 commercial regional zone. The applicant is proposing to construct a commercial retail unit on the site. Notices, as are required by the Planning Act, have been sent. There is no written correspondence on the file. With respect to the application, comments from administration are in your agenda package. The application is similar to a file that City Council previously approved, being file V-2019-06, which was to permit a drive-through to exist in the front yard setback, also on this same property. Recommendation from administration is to approve the application.
Thank you, Mr. Warkentine. Is the applicant here today?
I'm representing the applicant.
Okay, would you please come to the podium, state your name and address, please?
My name is Len Neufeld. I live at 62 Grand Park Boulevard in Steinbach. I'm with Three-Way Builders, and I'm representing the client on this project.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay.
I was hoping there would be. I was going to answer, as I told Mr. Zweigstra earlier, I was going to answer like Minister Morneau did with finance. Just asked me a question, I could go on a completely different track.
Let's try it.
Awesome question.
Just lob one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you want to tell us anything more about the commercial retail unit in question?
No. I cannot disclose what the retail establishment is without permission from the client.
Okay, well, seeing no questions, then I'll...
Thank you.
Is there anyone here wishing to object or have questions on this file? Is there anyone here wishing to object or have questions on this file? I will ask one more time. Is there anyone here wishing to object or have questions on this file? No one in there? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Siemens.
Motion to approve.
Okay, seconder? Okay. Councillor Siemens, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think This, we should approve this. It is on private property. We have approved an existing one that to the north of this location. It's a retail establishment. It's already on private property, and it's already on an asphalt parking lot. And this further develops that whole retail space.
Anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in addition, this is a bit of a different situation in terms of just the property. It's a full campus, not just an individual property going on to Highway 12. So in terms of the front yard setback and having a drive-through through there, in this situation, I don't see there being any issues with that.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? No, sir. Well, council, I do think too, I will support this motion. I think this is great for the campus itself. As the campus grows, as there's more businesses, more retail establishments that come, we might have to have variances or make or work something out for them. But this is just one example of how we can help more retail businesses come to Steinbeck. Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan, thank you for closing your chair.
Okay, council, we have a delegation tonight. Mr. Krispin Ontong. He's here to make a presentation to us. Okay, good evening. Hi, hello, Mr. Ontong. Take the podium and start your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of the City Council, our MLA and Education Minister, Kelvin Gertson, Administrator Workington, and fellow residents, just my wife. As you know, this is the second year that we are celebrating June as Filipino Heritage Month across Canada. And last year, the Manitoba Legislative Assembly unanimously passed Resolution Number 14, which designates Filipino Heritage Month, which designates June as Filipino Heritage Month in our province. This is in celebration and recognition of the tremendous contributions of the Filipino community to the growth, prosperity, and development of our province and our country. For my active role in the community, I received an official copy of that resolution from the author himself, MLA John Reyes. I have that copy with me today. Here it is. And now it is my privilege, as a proud resident of Steinbach and as past president of the Southeastern Filipino Association, to turn over this important piece of Manitoba's history to the city of Steinbach, to bring its Filipino residents and the local community even closer, as we stand in solidarity while drawing strength from our cultural diversity. Lord knows that in these times of great unrest, because of the pandemic, economic uncertainty, and racial tensions, the world could use more compassion, tolerance, and justice. So once again, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, MLA Kelvin Gertson, thank you for granting me an audience and for your continued support of the Filipino community, as well as our brethren of other ethnicities here in Steinbach. Let me wish everyone here continued well-being and safety. Mabuhay. I'll just leave this here. Thank you.
Just a second. Are there any questions or comments from council? Councillor Zager?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment, and Mr. Ontong, I just want to thank you for speaking to us today. And you know, the Filipino people have been such a great addition to our city over the last number of years. I hear nothing but positive things. There are many that I know personally, and I see the impressive work and the way in which the Filipino people have become an integral part of our community, and that includes, of course, you and your wife. And we want to thank. So I want to thank you that for coming here today and for sharing this with us. And I would encourage you to keep up the good work. And we appreciate the work of the Filipino people here in our city.
Thank you, thank you, Councillor Swagster.
Anything further? Well, Mr. Ontong, I just want to thank you very much for coming to council and presenting us with this. And as I've said to you before, I'm just really excited that that the Filipino community has chosen Steinbach to settle, because you guys are you work so hard. We see you in our community working hard, getting involved. You are like Councillor Schweitzer said, you are an integral part of our community, and you guys live out your faith very strongly in our community, and it's great to see that, and how you include us and the things you invite us to, all your events, and you're a pleasure to be at. Also, it was I just want to say it was a huge pleasure for me getting to know you in the Mayor's Mentorship Program.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It was a pleasure going over civil politics with you, having you at my house, and just the evenings we spent discussing, and how you shadowed us as we went along, and just to see your commitment to our community in that way it just was revitalizing for me. It really it gave me faith in mankind. So it's just it's been exciting, and thank you so much again for coming to council and presenting us with this, like you say, a piece of history. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And thank you. I believe you want to take a picture. We'll have to do that after council meeting?
For sure.
Yeah, and then we can take a picture together. We'll figure out how to social distance, and we'll
All right.
take a picture. We'll have, if Emily Gertson would you like to be part of that too, sir?
Possibly, depending how long your meeting is.
Yeah. In the meantime, we'll take our leave. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, council, we'll move on to 8A. This is the tender award, the Aquatic Centre. The information was in your bins before the council meeting. Mr. Workity, would you like to introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This, as you mentioned, was an additional package of information that councils would have received in their mail bins earlier today. It is related to a tender award related to a bid request that was issued by the City of Steinbeck for renovations to be done to the Steinbach Aquatic Centre. City Council had initially identified the renovation project for the Steinbach Aquatic Centre in its long-term capital plan for the replacement of lighting, acoustical panels, and repainting of the main auditorium. However, that project was originally envisioned to be completed in 2021. With the current situation that has evolved over late winter and earlier this spring, and the restrictions for public facilities such as the pool related to COVID-19, the Steinbeck Aquatic Centre has been closed to the public since about the middle of March. And even with the plan that has been presented by the province of Manitoba for reopening of facilities such as the pool, there still would be significant restrictions on the number of patrons that the city could allow into the facility, and it would have a significant impact on the regular programming for the Steinbeck Aquatic Centre. As a result, City Council did request administration to pursue the investigation of whether or not the project could in fact proceed this fiscal year in 2020. We have done so. Tender was closed as of last week Friday. There were 3 bids received, for which the low bid was provided by Ernst Hansch Construction Limited for an amount of $1,296,680 plus applicable taxes. When considering the alternate pricing adjustment options that were also provided within the bid, The recommendation from administration and from our project engineer is to award the tender to Ernst Hansch Construction LTD, being the low bid, for a net amount of $1,283,415, which includes the adjustments as noted in the summary provided, plus applicable taxes, and that funding for the project be provided by the city's Recreation Reserve Fund.
Mr. Workentine, just to be clear, so the awarded bid, or the bid you want us to award, came at just under $1.3 million.
That's correct.
All in, what are we looking at?
Along with the tender bid, if approved for the $1.283 million, there are some additional costs that would be required to complete the project, consisting of approximately $66,000 for the design, engineering, and administration for the project, and an additional $130,000 for contingencies and other unforeseen costs that might be part of the project. When those things are considered along with the tender, the proposed budget for the project would be $1,479,415.
Okay, Council, are there any other questions for administration at this time? Councillor Siemens.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. What's the approximate timeline given on the quotes is 12 weeks. Where does that take us? When are they starting and when is approximate completion date?
The expectation is that project work would start next week, and with a completion time period of 12 weeks, that would bring the project to August 31st. To allow a safety factor, administration would project that an additional 2 weeks be added, so therefore the pool could be open as soon as September the 14th.
Further?
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. What was our initial budget estimate for this work?
The project didn't move forward into a formal budgeting process. As I mentioned, it was initially planned for 2021, but initial estimates for the entire project came in at approximately $1.3 million.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Slater.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will make the motion to approve the tender award as presented.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Penner. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's important to note, as the city manager had just explained, that these are repairs that have to be done. The pool is now 18 years old, and we know that there is a lot of wear and tear on an indoor swim facility. The chlorine, all sorts of, it's a well-used facility, it's very busy, and we have to keep it in good condition. So if we did not do it this year, we would have to be doing these repairs next year. This includes things like replacing lighting and acoustical panels, repainting the main auditorium, and so on. And so these are important and significant repairs. It makes sense to proceed with it this year because this way we can have the repairs happening at a time when the pool cannot be at full capacity. Under current rules, we can only have it at 50% capacity, and we don't know how long it's going to remain like that. And so rather than have only limited access to the pool this summer and then no access to the pool next summer, it makes sense to do these repairs now and get it done out of the way, and so that way we have full access to the pool come September, and we do not have to shut down the pool next summer. So I think this is the responsible thing to do. It makes sense for us to go ahead with the tender.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Penner?
Nothing further to add.
Anything further of Council? Anything in closing?
No.
Well, Council, I do agree. This is a great opportunity to take care of some things at the pool that we're needing fixing at this time. Like Councillor Swiggs has said, it is 18 years old, and we need to keep this busy facility of ours in good shape. So call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll go to 8B, the City of Steinbeck Standard Design and Construction Specifications, revisions, updates, and additions. It starts on page 15 in your package. Mr. Worthing, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, this is a follow-up report that was initially brought before council at the May 12, 2020 Strategic Priorities Committee meeting. There were many more details that were presented and provided to council. What is the information that is in the information package is a summary of those changes that were proposed to the city's specification manual. There was consensus among council that these adjustments or these amendments be accepted. It's now being brought back before council for a formal resolution to adopt these amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Worthing. Okay, council, on page 15, there is a resolution at the bottom of the page, so we do need a resolution to adopt the proposed amendments. Looking for a mover. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Siemens. Go ahead, Councillor Hebert.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as discussed by Mr. Worthington just now, we've previously discussed these specifications at the earlier meeting, and now it's just a matter of these changes now meet Manitoba standards. So I just think it's important that we get on track with Manitoba standards.
Anything further, Councillor Siemens?
Just like to add that the first design standard and construction specifications was done and approved by council in February of 1989. There's been, this is revision number 6. The last revision was done in 2011. So a lot of the details around this are well-educated people who have engineering degrees that recommend to us. So I will vote in favor and follow the recommendations from city administration.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Okay, council, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Okay, that is carried. We'll go to 8C, Province of Manitoba. This is Re-Bill 48, Planning Amendment, and City of Winnipeg Charter Amendment Act. This starts on page 26 of your agenda. Mr. Worthington, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, this document, Bill 48, is a proposed amendment to the Planning Act that was proposed by the province of Manitoba in March of this year. There has been some fairly in-depth review completed by the city administration with respect to what the potential impact of the proposed changes may have on the city of Steinbach. In particular in respect to its existing land use policies and several of its procedures related to land use approvals within the city. Key points are identified in the review report that's in the package. It is quite lengthy, so I won't read it in its entirety. In addition, City Council would have had an opportunity to receive additional supplementary information directly through organizations such as the AMM, which has also pursued some investigation or its own investigation based on its own research and from input from various municipal members throughout the province of Manitoba. There are several concerns that administration has identified that council may wish to consider further and its particular effect on the city of Steinbach. For example, key points that were identified include several instances where an applicant of a land use file may appeal a council decision to the Manitoba Municipal Board. Appeals could be based on exceeding a reasonable time period to consider a file, but they could also be based on a disagreement between an applicant and the city for a condition of such approval. And that could be either a condition that council may approve or a condition that may be imposed within a development agreement. It could affect rezonings, subdivisions, conditional uses, including any conditions that the city may require in connection with file approvals such as those. Further, a significant concern is the potential loss of local autonomy in planning and land use decisions. These are possible, as the bill proposes that the municipal board be given authority to amend council land use decisions and development conditions that may be imposed by council based on the appeal process. There are several other comments related to the information. They are provided in a more comprehensive report that's in the package. But at this point, recommendation is firstly, council review and consider the potential or the proposed changes that have been suggested. And then a further recommendation if council feels that its concerns are significant, that council authorize these comments to be forwarded to the province of Manitoba, indicating the city's concerns.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Organtine. Councillor, are there any questions for administration?
Through you, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Would you be able to comment on what the intent of this was by the province?
Generally, the intent, it appears to stem from a report that was prepared by the province of Manitoba last year, reflected significant concerns that were found to exist with particularly planning and land use file delays and other challenges, primarily with the city of Winnipeg. Further, the province of Manitoba has also indicated that it has a mandate to reduce red tape within the province and is looking at various ways and pieces of legislation to be able to do that. While there are several documents that indicate this, with the detail that has been provided within Bill 48, from the perspective of administration for the city of Steinbeck and some of the concerns that and potential scenarios that may be created, which may cause some significant impacts to existing city of Steinbeck policies and implications related to those policies. That's the cause for the concern in the report by administration. The understanding is generally the province has indicated that it wishes to permit applicants for land use files to have an appeal process where one currently does not exist. They have explained this particular provision as an issue of fairness, allowing again the opportunity for an applicant to appeal certain decisions by city council. As far as this goes, the overall concerns again are normally not found within the city of Steinbeck land use files. We tend to have a fairly short duration of that's required for a file review when an application for a land use file is received. There doesn't seem to be, or the concerns that the province appears to want to address with this piece of legislation don't appear to be issues that are representative within the city of Steinbeck.
Okay, sorry, just one last question. In terms of the, I guess, capital planning region they call, the board that is set up, would that necessarily have people from the Steinbeck region, or would it be potentially like a municipal board where you have representation from other regions that are making decisions?
The piece of legislation proposes a capital planning region, which at this point involves the city of Winnipeg and all surrounding rural municipalities that share a boundary with the city of Winnipeg. So at this point, there would be no impact on the city of Steinbeck. However, further on in the document, it does discuss the opportunity for other planning regions to be created within the province of Manitoba, which would potentially create another board or organization that would be created to deal with regional planning issues that may impact other parts of Manitoba. That has a potential impact of adding to processes and procedures that the City of Steinbeck currently does not have to go through.
Thank you. Anything further? Any questions of council? Councillor Siemens.
I guess a couple of comments offhand from listening to administration report. I think red tape, it's interesting that we want to reduce red tape, but we're going to add another layer as indicated. I think one thing the city has and is good at is our land planning and our how we plan our subdivisions and our conditional issues, because we've got staff that are educated and they lead council or provide council with enough background that we can make decisions that are appropriate. I'm not so sure a lot of the municipalities have that in many of the different settings. So I think that is a strength that the city has. And I would be bothered if we had if we were to make a decision and the developer would then appeal to the municipal board, and that becomes a final decision, and we can't appeal a municipal board decision. And that's happened to us a few times. Case in point would be the development on First Street, where the municipal board decided on its own that we had to put in a back lane, or the developer had to pave a back lane. And we're not a community that has back lanes as such, and but now we are a community that has started to develop back lanes because the municipal board declared that's what needed to happen here. And it wasn't a request from the developer or from the city of Steinbeck, but that was part of what happened in that case. Also, the annexation through the municipal board, we were told this was what was going to happen, and there's no basis of appealing some of those decisions. So I think within this process, there needs to be a process that the city of Steinbeck, if this does go that route, that we can appeal a decision of the municipal board, at least have a further discussion on it to understand. We are an elected body, but we also, I think the city is in a good place where to make a lot of the decisions based on land use policy here. And this is a bit bothersome, but it will, I guess we need to flesh it out a bit more to understand exactly how it would affect the city of Steinbeck.
Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're looking for a motion to authorize staff to express our concerns.
Yes, that is next. If there are no further questions, then yes, we're looking for a motion to authorize staff. Councillor Swick.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That I will make a motion that we authorize staff to express concerns on behalf of the city regarding Bill 48.
Second. Councillor Siemens, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the concerns have been expressed quite well by city administration, and obviously we want to make sure that we have to make sure that the planning process is done well and efficiently. And certainly one of the areas of concern that I hear the staff has identified is by giving an additional appeal to the municipal board, to applicants, to developers, we already have 4 to 6 month delays when residents appeal and there's enough objecting and it can go for months. I'm concerned about creating even further delays if the developers have the ability to appeal. And that also takes the decision away from neighborhoods, because if we decide to listen to the neighborhood and we turn something down, or council decides to put a condition on, and then a municipal board decides not to go ahead with that, that can have a big impact on our decisions and the development agreements, because there's a lot of thought that goes into these conditions, both by council and by administration. So I think it's appropriate that we authorize city administration to express the city's concerns regarding the changes in the bill.
Anything further?
No, I think I stated my concerns earlier.
Anything further, Councillor Penner?
Yeah, I would just like to add, I think it's important we send our concerns to the province, because when you develop some of these laws and bylaws and bills, that type of thing, there's, can be consequences that maybe haven't thought of. So even when the intention is good or the intention is right, it's important just to go through this process in order to flag for the province that, you know what, we understand you were intending to do something positive, but these are our concerns. So I think even for the province, I'm hoping it will be well received in order, if they decide to go for a bill or variation of it, that it can be improved and better reflect our concerns.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Penner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to quickly add to that. I feel this bill, in its spirit, is incredibly undemocratic. We as municipal officials are the elected body and the voice for our citizens. We are the ones that live in the community. We are the ones that represent our community. We are the ones that understand our community. And a quasi-judicial board that has appointed representatives from people that have potentially never even been inside of our community should not be making decisions on how our community is being developed.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
No.
Well, council, this is something we've been wrestling with for some time now, and I think since March. Yes, you know, I think the province came out and they wanted to do something good. I think they wanted to fix a problem that they were seeing in a development area. But I think as Councillor Siemens has stated, in our area, in Steinbach, we've got great staff that's educated, and they work very hard at planning for our city. And I think many of the items in here will adversely affect us, especially giving developers an opportunity to appeal something that we've done. So if we've listened to staff, or we've listened to the neighborhood, and we voted in a certain way, now they're taking that power away from the neighborhood too. And there's just no control of what's going to happen in our community. And that's why I think we need to voice our concerns. So I'm not saying that this bill will stay the way it is, or that it'll be a bad thing, but they need to have our side, how this will affect us. And that's why I support this motion, because we need to show them how this is going to affect or challenge it will be for our municipalities and for the city of Seine. So call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 8D, this is for the province of Manitoba, Bill 49, the Building and Electrical Permit Improvement Act. This is on page 51. Mr. Workteam, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor, this is a further piece of legislation, Bill 49. It is similar in that it proposes amendments to current development processes that are presently administered by municipalities within the province. However, it's not nearly as broadly reaching as the proposed changes in Bill 48. This one pertains to building and electrical permits and the activities of municipalities with respect to the review and the issue of those documents. The bill proposes that a permit dispute resolution process be put in place related to those types of permits and the technical requirements of building and electrical permits. At this time, the City of Steinbeck does not deal with the issuance of electrical permits, so it has a very narrow application to the City of Steinbeck. However, it does pertain to building permits. The particular dispute resolution process does refer to a provincially appointed adjudicator. For all intents and purposes, essentially that position of an adjudicator would be very similar to hearing appeals related to a building permit as the municipal board would be in relation to hearing appeals related to a land use file. The potential is also there, again, with the appointment of an adjudicator, that the city may see a loss of local autonomy in permitting decisions due to the proposed appeal process. Similar to recommendation with the previous file, administration does recommend that council review fully and extensively. If you have any questions, I'd be certainly happy to answer them. But again, if there are ongoing concerns that City Council may have with respect to proposed Bill 49, the resolution would be sought indicating that the city proceed to issue its concerns to the province.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Worthington. Okay, council, we are looking for the same thing here, a motion to by resolution for our administration to file a letter and, you know, bring forth all of our concerns. If there's no questions at this time, then I would gladly ask for a motion to authorize our administration. Councillor Spicer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion that we authorize city staff to express our concerns on Bill 49.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hebert? Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, as the city manager noted, the scope of Bill 49 is considerably less, but there is still a concern in regards to appealing building permits. I mean, obviously, we hire people with expertise, and we make sure the standards are followed. And so we certainly do have some questions and concerns in regards to, in terms of potentially delays or some of the disputes that could happen here. So I think this, at a minimum, needs to be clarified in terms of what this actually is. So I certainly think it's appropriate for city staff to express our concerns.
Thank you. Anything further?
Yeah, and I would second it. I believe we have a good staff here, and if there's any concerns, that we would be able to apply those concerns. So definitely second it.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Okay. I have nothing further to add, so I will call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We have number 9. We have the accounts payable at the back of the book. All had a chance to review. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments? Okay. Call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay. We've got the, is there any questions of council at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will go to number 11, correspondence and petitions. I want to, the Seine Rat River, or Seine Rat Roseau Watershed District has given us a letter, just explaining a few things. There's also a personal, more of a letter from the new chair, which is our own Councillor Jake Hebert. Congratulations for becoming the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I do want to say you are the first sitting councillor that has ever made the chair of this board. That is, while they've been appointed. So we just want to congratulate you, and we want you to toot your own horn at this time. So if you can, is there anything you want to explain in this letter to us?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Having served on the watershed for the last year and a half, it's been interesting. It's been a huge learning curve because I wasn't familiar with that type of board. The letter that was sent to you by our manager, Jody Gerson, summarizes a few of the past year's projects. As you can see, some of the projects are very expensive. The first one there, Edwin Fraze, of course, that one, there was 2 projects there which is now preventing the village of St. Pierre from flooding. So we've got a few of those. We've got some, we do a lot of fencing, a lot of different projects for borders along waterways, along ditches, and now with the new ALICE program, alternate land use program, we're spending a lot of money on areas that are low-lying, where farmers now get the benefit of getting paid for not cultivating that land, rather seeding it in grasses, and they get to take the crop off once a year. Last year's budget, just to give you a brief update on the financial report, we had a budget, I think, of $1.2 million. At the end of the year, we were within, I think, $12,000 overrun, but due to more money coming in from the province, we avoided a line of credit. So we have an excellent staff and hardworking staff. We've got 8 great subdivisions and vice and chairs out of those subdivisions. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Corny Gertson, who has been the chair for the last 20 years, for his dedicated service to our district. He officially resigned probably a lot due to health reasons on April 30th this year, and we appreciated the leadership that he gave us. Mr. Ed Penner has been elected the new vice chair, and so I look forward to working with the board and with our staff there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the good work you do there and for working your way up to chair. But just for those of us that have been on that board, we know what this means, but for the rest of council, could you just explain, when you talk of like Edwin Frey's water retention, you've got 42 acre feet. Would you just want to tell council what 42 acre feet means? Like how much water that really is?
42 acre feet would be 42 acres at 1 foot level. So you could have 84 acres at 6 inches, would still give you 42 feet.
Yeah.
And that project, like I said, it's basically when we talk about retention, low-lying areas, putting berms around them and putting in a certain size culvert, which allows the water, instead of the water flowing through that area within 24 hours, it may now, because of this, the culvert that's in place, take, and all the water that's being retained, may take a week to flush out, and thereby preventing the areas downstream from flooding.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hebert. We have no other business. Motion for adjournment. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Penner. Call for the question. All those in favor? It's carried. Next regular council meeting is Tuesday, June 16th, 2020 at 7:30. Thank you, council.
We're taking that photo.